Hello and welcome to another episode of the SMEFocus show, brought to you by FactoryNOW TV. I'm your host, Christopher Greenough, and this is a brand new series which will focus on SMEs within the British manufacturing sector. Every week we'll be meeting manufacturers to discuss and analyse the opportunities and challenges for industry in these unprecedented times. I've worked in the sector for over 26 years, and I am CCO at SG Technology, one of the leading manufacturers of pressings and assemblies in the UK. As you can hopefully appreciate, this show is very much for manufacturers by manufacturers. My guest today is Asif Moghal, Senior Industry Manager for Design and Manufacturing within Autodesk. Hello, Asif.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Fantastic. Good to talk to you. So, Asif, please tell me about Autodesk and what is it in particular you do within Autodesk?
So Autodesk is a software company. We operate in several major markets, design and manufacturing, which is the industry I'm responsible for. We have architecture, engineering and construction, and also media and entertainment. And what we do is we create software for our customers in those industries to literally design, make or produce anything. So whether it's an office block, a building, some industrial machinery, some consumer products. Our tools allow people to design, visualize, simulate, manage, whatever it is they wish to design and make.
Fantastic. And what's your particular role? What do you do that nobody else does at Autodesk?
It's a good question. I am the Design and Manufacturing Industry Manager at Autodesk. And basically that means that I'm responsible for the industry. And my role is to really connect with the leadership inside the manufacturing sector, the design sector, find out kind of really what is preventing them from being more successful in their business, and do two things: directly engage with them to help them overcome some of the challenges that they might be experiencing, and also feedback some of what we hear and see is going on back to Autodesk, because it might help our kind of the way we engage with customers and our overall development strategy.
Fantastic. And how do you find it now, certainly with these sort of pre-COVID times, how do you manage to engage with a busy SME who just says, look, Asif, I haven't got time for the meetings. How do you get past that, and how do you show that you can add value?
That's a good question, Chris. I think one of the things that we learned pretty early on is that when you talk to the owner-managers of a design and manufacturing company, and you just kind of ask them about their experience of being approached by other technology vendors, like ourselves, maybe our competition and other technology vendors, what we tend to see is that the tech vendors almost lead the conversation with technology. So I might come to you, Chris, and say, would you like an IoT strategy? Or what are you doing about additive manufacturing or product lifecycle management? And whilst those things are important to us as technology vendors, they really are not that relevant to the day-to-day priorities of a person that's running a business. And so we learned really quickly that there's only three things that our customers care about. And that is to make better products, to sell more of them, and generate greater profits. And the moment you switch your language to that and look at how you can help customers do those things more effectively through the application of technology, I believe that the relevance of the conversation goes up in the mind of the people you're speaking to, and then suddenly you find that companies can make time to have those important conversations with you. Yes, of course, every manufacturer is busy, but I think if we change our language, and that's been our experience, we found our level of engagement significantly higher.
And it's not all about IoT, and it's not all about Industry 4.0. We've talked quite a lot in the past about disruptive thinking, disruptive technologies. So describe how you would sell that to a business owner.
So it's essentially three conversations to have. Is how are you doing things today, or where are you today? Where do you want to be, and what do you feel stopping you getting there? Now, one of the things that we've learned really quickly again was when you ask a manufacturing company, what would you like to do that you currently think is impossible? And they'll tell us certain things, and most of them are really possible today. So some of the disruptive thinking comes from a leadership point of view, in terms of, we're really encouraging people to be as crazy as they'd like to be, in terms of what do you really wish you could do, that, why do you think it's impossible, and if you could do that impossible thing, what would it enable you to do to your business? And would it just generate more sales for you? Would it redefine the market? Would it create a market for you? Once we get people thinking in those terms, it's actually relatively straightforward to then reverse engineer and map technology to help people get on that path. So that's kind of how the disruptive thinking comes into play. But really, what would you wish you could do that's impossible? Where are you today? Where do you want to be? And what's stopping you getting there?
Fantastic. And there's a lot of talk from central and local government on focusing on larger business. Autodesk, I know, engage with some very large businesses. But how can we really change that focus and truly support SMEs, as 99% of the businesses in the UK are SMEs? So that's got to be the focus for Autodesk and for the government, surely.
Well, hopefully, definitely for the government, and for us, you know, the majority of our customers come from what you might call the sort of SME or mid-market space. Yeah. And they don't have the luxury of having separate teams and some of the resources that the very large enterprise organizations have. So to kind of really help them more, we've got to demystify and debunk the myth of digitization. There's a lot of jargon, a lot of terminology that's being bandied about, which does actually confuse and actually put some people off. So I think the way to really get kind of interventions more focused on SMEs is to, first of all, show more of them what's possible, but probably more importantly, create as many examples as we possibly can of a typical SME, and maybe a traditional metal bashing company in the Midlands, or an industrial machinery company somewhere else in the UK. If we could create as many examples of how they're digitizing their business outside of just production, because that's the other thing I see a lot of, is digital seems to be applied in terms of just a couple of things: smart factory and production, robotics and automation. But if you look at the entire life cycle of a business, you can apply digital to either side of the production environment. So I think we need to create as many examples as possible, that which we can then take to the policymakers of the country, and hopefully that might help them develop other interventions that are more easy for an SME to access, and probably more relevant for them, and giving them greater returns in the shorter period of time.
And I know you've been doing lots of work on your Future British Manufacturing initiative. Is that really what it's all about, showing that digitization, showing the stories of engagement from SMEs?
Yeah, so we've been doing the Future British Manufacturing initiative for about 5 years now. And the emphasis is on demystifying the digital journey, getting people on their digital journey in 5 steps, and kind of rolling our sleeves up and actually getting stuck into helping these companies literally take that first step, which is one of the challenges. I think if we can create as many examples as possible, we're happy to share them with anyone. But I think the more of these, you kind of create a groundswell of self-directed, forward-thinking business leaders that can inspire others, who then inspire others, and you kind of create this sort of upward spiral of positive change in the industry.
And also that's really key to show the next generation as well that the manufacturing is changing. It's more digital than it's ever been. We need the next generation of fantastic free thinkers. So how do we promote more of manufacturing in schools and colleges? And how do we show, I know you've got the Future British Manufacturing initiative. What else is Autodesk, and particularly you, I know you're an advocate for engineering. How do we promote that further into schools?
I think there's quite a few things that we can do. So on an individual basis, I think each of us, if we find ourselves in the manufacturing industry, I think we can do a lot to kind of adopt a school, adopt a university, kind of make it our business to go in and really talk to the lecturers and the students about the exciting opportunity in the manufacturing sector today. I think that's one thing that we could do. I think that one of the other things that Autodesk is doing is we're taking students who haven't yet graduated, sort of second-year design and manufacturing students, we're placing them inside manufacturing companies who have problems for a period of about 2 weeks. And we're enabling them to solve some really important challenges for them. So for the manufacturer, that gives them this kind of free thinking, we call it a digital catalyst. But also for the student, it really does open their eyes to the breadth and depth the manufacturing industry encompasses these days. So those are a couple of very tactical things that we can do personally, that we're doing as Autodesk. But I believe that if you take that approach and scale it up more nationally, I think that you could accelerate or close the skills gap accelerate the take-up of digital inside the SMEs. So I think there's a range of things that could be done.
And a lot of people think, when they think Industry 4.0, they think automation, they think robots, they think less skills needed, but that isn't the case, is it? We actually need more skills.
You're absolutely right. I haven't got the stats at my fingertips, but there are so many new jobs being created in the manufacturing sector. So there was a while ago where it's innovation, your chief innovation officer was a new thing, but now that's fairly standard. We're seeing chief digital officer being created as a job title. There's jobs around data. There's jobs around programming and automation and coding. And I think these are the sort of skills that engineers of the future kind of need. And so as a result of that, many new highly skilled jobs are being created. And yes, it's true that some of the traditional low skill jobs will be affected, but in a similar way to the printing press, I know that's used as an example, when the desktop publisher came around and the printing press was developed, a lot of people in the publishing industry worried that they would be out of a job. But I think now desktop publishing and that sort of media is a much larger industry than it ever was before. So I'm hopeful that digitization will have a similar effect on the industry, creating many new jobs, because it makes something that's very skilled and specialized available to far more people.
So just as a final point then, Asif, do you think it's an exciting time to be in UK manufacturing?
I've always believed it's an exciting time to be in UK manufacturing, but now probably even more so than ever. I mean, after everything that we've gone through globally as an industry, we have the opportunity now to emerge from this terrible pandemic bigger, better, stronger, smarter than ever before. I think it's a great opportunity for anyone who's thinking of getting into the industry to consider that, because I know there's thousands of manufacturers out there looking for smart, clever people to help them reimagine their own business models.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time today, Asif. Brilliant to talk to you as always, and we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Chris. Bye-bye.
That brings us to the end of another show. Thank you for watching, and look forward to meeting more of our brilliant SME manufacturers next week. If you would like to get in touch with the show with a comment, a suggestion, or to appear on a future episode, please email us tv@mtd.media. So from me, Chris G at SDE, goodbye.